So, as you know, this is the English Programs in Spain presentation for the CGIS Study Abroad Winter Advising Fair for next winter, which is 2026. So, about the CGIS programs we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the multidisciplinary studies in Barcelona, the University Study in Spain in Barcelona, and the University Study in Spain in Madrid. So firstly, we're going to talk about some providers. So the first provider is CEA Kappa. What the provider's job is to give you on-site support, help you register for courses, and they give you housing as well. So CEA Kappa's mission is to empower students to become thoughtful and thriving leaders through immersive global experience, and their vision focuses on refining learning via innovative, inclusive, and impactful programs. So CEA Kappa continues to enrich students' academic and professional journeys by providing comprehensive global learning experiences. And the program that we have with the provider CEA Kappa is UC3M in Madrid. And now we're going to talk a little bit about UC3M. So a little bit about the courses and classes. Students can take 4 to 5 classes while on site. And Carlos III has about 60 to 65 different course options for students to take. You can take between 12 and 15 credits. Now, it is a diverse student population with a lot of international students and other students from across the United States, but there are almost no local students in the courses. And I say that because imagine here at U of M, are you going to take a class that's fully in Spanish if you're not a Spanish major or minor? Neither will they in Madrid if they are an English major or minor, right? Class sizes range between 5 to 20 students for a language course, but for most courses in general that you'll be taking, it'll be between 10 and 40 plus students. And then for housing, so we have the shared apartments, which is the default housing. What that means is if you decide to do a homestay or a student's residency hall, those two will be an extra fee on top of your tuition. If you do not want to pay an extra fee, you will just have the normal shared apartments as default housing, as that is the most popular housing option. For your commute to get to class, it will be around 60 to 90 minutes via public transportation. This could be taking like the metro, taking the bus, things of that nature. And just to make sure that you have to live in housing that CEA Kappa provides. You cannot live independently. So if you say, well, oh, I want to live with my friend and she's doing a different program, you could not live with her. You have to live at the housing options that CEA Kappa provides. And if the student is not going on a CEA Kappa program, they could not live with you. And then in terms of competitiveness, this program is non-competitive. And then here on the side, I have the mCompass link linked. I have the CEA Kappa website for the program and the FAQ sheet for the program as well. Sorry, give me one second. And now we're going to talk about Barcelona SAE, also known as BSAE. They are the provider for both of our Barcelona programs, also known as UAB and UPF. So BSAE offers personalized attention and a variety of academic and professional experiences. They collaborate with multiple universities, including the Barcelona School for International Studies, also known as CIS. That is Barcelona SAE's site school. And then they provide a range of courses for all students, no matter what program you end up doing. And then the organization emphasizes the cultural immersion through activities like cooking classes, dance lessons, and local tours. And so we're going to talk about UPF. So the courses at UPF, you will be taking a total of 4 classes for 12 credits. You would take 2-year classes at the local university UPF and 2-year classes at the BSAE Study Center, also known as CIS. And in total, between the study center and the local university, they have between 60 and 65 different course options, you can pick out. Part of this is you get a Barca local orientation week where Barcelona SAE will give you a Barcelona, orientation to, introduce you more to the culture and, more about the program as well. And then you will get more local students for your UPF courses, but there is a mandatory Spanish class. This Spanish class does not count for your LSA distribution, and it may or may not even count for your major or minor if you are doing it for Spanish as well. If you would like to see if you can get your course approved, you will have to do a petition with RLL. And then for your housing options, we have shared apartments, homestay, and residency hall. Now, the difference between this program and Madrid is the housing options are not different in terms of cost. All of them are the same price, and you would just rank them 1, 2, and 3 when the time comes when Barcelona SAE asks you. And then for no matter what housing you get, your commute is going to be around 25 to 30 minutes to class via public transport. And just like with Madrid, you have to live in the housing the provider provides. You cannot live independently for this program. And also, this is a non-competitive program as well. And then I have the Encompass link for the program listed, the Barcelona SAE website for UPF, and then the UPF FAQ sheet I made as well listed. And then the last university we're going to talk about, UAB. So for this one, you can take between 4 to 5 courses for 12 to 15 credits, and UAB has around 30 to 35 different course options for you to choose from. It is a diverse student population with a lot of international students and other students from around the US, but there will be no local students. UAB has their own study abroad department where exchange students, study abroad students go to get their classes. So in the upper right-hand corner, you see this photo with me and two lovely ladies. This is the director and associate director of their international student department. And then just like with UPF, it is mandatory you take a Spanish class. But the difference between Madrid and Barcelona, with the mandatory Spanish class in Barcelona, you can opt to take either a Spanish language class, a class that's fully in Spanish, or you can do a Catalan class. So Catalan is the local language of Barcelona, and you can opt to take an intro class of that as well. Yeah. And then so same housing options as UPF, shared apartments, homestay residency hall is going to be around the same commute. And then just like I said before, you have to live at whatever housing Barcelona SAE provides. You cannot live independently. And this program is also non-competitive as well. So all three of these programs, non-competitive. Here I have listed the Encompass link, the website for Barcelona SAE for UAB, and then also the UAB FAQ sheet. And then, so what are the differences between both of the Barcelona schools? So for UPF, half of your courses are at the local university and the other half are at the Barcelona SAE site school, CES, whereas at UAB, all of your courses will be at UAB. You will not be taking any courses anywhere else. UPF offers 2 program tracks. They have the Barcelona program for interdisciplinary studies, also known as BAPIS. That offers a wide range of courses across various disciplines. And they also have the International Business and Economics School, also known as EECS. And this focuses on business and economic studies with an international perspective. But please know, for UPF in particular, no econ courses will transfer. The econ department here at U of M has told me that none of their courses will transfer. And it's the 4th best university in Spain, so top 5. And then for UAB, this program is more ideal for students who prefer a campus bubble with everything in one place. As I told you, they have their own international department where you'll be taking all your classes. They have the peer advisors there, things of that nature. So you don't have to ever leave, those areas of UAB. And then there will be smaller class sizes. And then this program is good for econ, but only at the 200 level. And it's also good for any distribution. UPF is also good for distribution as well. And the difference is at UAB, you can take between 12 and 15 credits, whereas at UPF, you can only take 12. You cannot take more at UPF. And then UAB is the 2nd best university in Spain. And then what's the difference between, Barcelona or going to Madrid? So both of the Barcelona schools have the same provider. So a lot of this information is the same for both universities. So for Barcelona, you will have a shorter commute. The commute will be around 25 to 30 minutes to get to class, whereas in Madrid, it's a very long commute, more like 60 to 90 minutes to get to class. Barcelona is good for, distribution credit, whereas Madrid is also good for distribution, but it's very good for around 400 level econ, computer science, poli-sci courses as well. Just to let you know, the 400 level is just for econ, not 400 level for comp sci and poli-sci. You have to talk to your advisor to see, if those transfer for 400 as well. But the econ department has told me Madrid is very good for 400 level econ. But now the caveat with that, right, is a lot of econ students have told me that the classes are harder than here at U of M. And they have also told me, this is not just with econ, but for all students at Carlos III, they have reported registration technical issues. So what happens is Carlos III has told me that every semester their registration site will crash due to technical issues. And by the time the site comes back on, a lot of the classes students have pre-approved are now waitlisted. So if you would like to go on to the Madrid program, one thing I will tell you is if you are okay with not taking the classes you have already gotten pre-approved, this is cool. This is a good program for you because classes are not guaranteed here. As with Barcelona, if you pick, your classes out, you most likely will get those classes that you pick out. Also with Barcelona, there is no extra cost, like I said earlier, for your different housing choices, whereas Madrid will charge you an extra fee for anything that's not a shared apartment. Barcelona is a smaller city, so with that, there is a denser population. I've never been to a lot of big cities in the US, but I compare it more to Chicago. Barcelona SAE, in my opinion, does a better cultural integration for their students than CEA Kappa. So if you are someone who wants to learn more about the local culture, get to know it more, things of that nature, I think Barcelona SAE just does a little bit better job of that. But Barcelona is also cheaper. For both programs, they're around 15K a semester, whereas Carlos III is around 20K a semester. Barcelona does require a Spanish course, or like I said, Catalan course. So if you do not want to take a Spanish course and you want, all your credits to go towards your, distribution or major or minor, I think Madrid then is a better choice for you. Barcelona also ends in mid-April. Students actually leave UAB and UPF on the 12th, so they leave, in a few days. And for Madrid, they end in early June. I think this year they leave June 4th. So if you are someone that's like, hey, I have to leave early, I have an internship this summer, or I have, some other pre-commitment I have to do, then I think Barcelona is a better choice because you cannot leave early on the program. You have to leave once all your finals and stuff are complete, and your finals can lead all the way, until the last day of the program. But for all three of these universities, you can join local clubs, and the provider can give you resources if you want to do more research into being active in the local community, such as like volunteering, joining local clubs, things of that nature. And then just some additional notes. So we'll talk about, program costs, course approvals, multiple application policy, financial aid, and the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship, and also the CGIS website and advising. So for program costs, so partner study abroad programs. So all three of these programs are partner programs, also known as provider programs. What that means is that you do not pay U of M tuition for any of these programs. The only thing you are going to pay to Michigan is your GeoBlue insurance, and that is required for all CGIS programs. You can see it on the budget sheet under expenses billed via U of M financial services. And you see it says U of M tuition. No, you're going to register as a full-time student, but you won't be paying that full-time student tuition. All other fees will be paid to Barcelona SAE or CEA Kappa. You will have to pay things out of pocket, such as like airfare, food, personal expenses, things of that nature. If you were to pick a homestay, you won't have to, really pay for food because your homestay house will cook you breakfast and dinner every day, and they also do your laundry once a week. So those are, less things you have to pay for in that case. But specific additional costs will depend on each and every program. And generally, students are able to use their financial aid packages in some form towards their study abroad program. Your aid packages change when applying towards your study abroad programs, but you will, still receive money if you are currently a financial aid student. And CGIS strongly recommends that you meet with the Office of Financial Aid Study Abroad team to discuss how your aid package will work and how it will be applied to your study abroad program that you are thinking of going to. And then course approvals. So as of right now, you should start that conversation with either your minor, major, or general advisors to see, what courses will transfer abroad. And they can help you decide what requirements you can complete abroad and what must be done on campus. And then please note, CGIS advisors are not academic advisors. I cannot tell you, what class will count for what. The only information I can give you is kind of like the general of what departments have told me. Like, for example, Econ has told me, yes, Carlos III is very good for 400 level classes. I cannot tell you, though, what classes are 400 level and what they knock off for an Econ major. Also, LSA students will receive in-residence credit on your transcript no matter what. So what this means is if you take a class abroad and let's say you get an A, that A is going to show up on your transcript and it's also going to affect your GPA as if you got that A here at U of M. And then you also have the option to pass fail your courses. Once you start the program, I will send you a pass fail email and other information that you may need while you're on site to say, hey, your pass fail date is April 22nd. Fill out this form and once you do that, you'll be all set. I will make sure your pass fail gets processed, things of that nature. And then for your major or minor classes, just like I said, get that pre-approved. on our CGIS website, we do have a by majors page where you can look for your major or minor and see if we have a pre-approved course list already. And then we also have programs that are good for specific majors. But just because that program that you are looking at is not on that specific page does not mean that's not a good program for you to do, or it doesn't mean that you can't do it. And then for your distribution classes, please consult your academic advisor. So this can be Noonan, honors, RC, things of that nature. And narrow down your choices. Find the syllabus for the program and set up an advising appointment with your major, minor, or general advisor to see what program works best for you. And then you can also talk to me, one of the CGIS advisors, to say, hey, I'm looking at Carlos, what majors are good for Carlos the Third? Let's say I'm a comms major. Is comms a good major for Carlos the Third? And I can give you kind of like a general, but only your academic advisor can actually approve you for the classes. And then multiple application policy. So CGIS only permits students to apply to a second or third program if your top choice is a competitive program. Students must rank their applications or no applications will be reviewed. So competitive programs automatically have to be ranked number 1, and you can apply to a second program as a backup. But just to let you know, all 3 of these English programs in Spain cannot be used as a backup program due to the early visa process. After you apply and after the deadline, give me around 1 week to review your application. Once I review your application, I'll send your information to the provider, and then within the next 1 or 2 days, they'll email you and say, hey, we set up your account, do our paperwork now, and also, hey, you have to start the visa process. The visa process literally will start after the provider emails you about your acceptance. I also have linked here the step-by-step instructions on how to rank your multiple programs within mCompass. And then you are also interested in 2 competitive programs. You can only apply to 1. So for example, I have all the environmental programs and they're all competitive. If you were thinking of Turks and Caicos and Bhutan, you have to pick between the 2. You cannot apply for 2 competitive programs, and whichever one you rank number 1, the other one will just be withdrawn. And then if you were interested in 2 non-competitive programs, let's say you were interested in both Barcelona programs, I'm only going to review 1. So if you don't rank them, I'm going to say, hey, you have, 2 programs here listed. They're both non-competitive. Which one is your first choice? I will withdraw the other one. And I'll give you, a day to tell me. If not, I just withdraw anything. So please let me know, or let any advisor know that you apply for here at CGIS what programs you want to apply for, and please make sure you rank them. There are very few situations where a third ranked application is needed or will be reviewed by CGIS. Because usually if you apply for a non-competitive as your second choice, you don't need a third choice, because if it's non-competitive, you'll basically get in the program. For all 3 of my Spain programs, you need to have a passport valid until the end of next year. You need to have the mCompass application completed, obviously, and the appropriate GPA. If you have all 3 of those, you will be accepted. There's no need to worry about not getting accepted into one of the English programs in Spain. And then about financial aid again. So consult the Office of Financial Aid Study Abroad team about how studying abroad can impact your eligibility for financial aid, and obviously how much you are eligible for. So in order to be eligible for financial aid during the fall or winter, you need to receive at least 12 credits. Lucky for you, all of our programs for winter and fall have at least 12 credits, because you will need a visa for them. And in order to get a visa, you need to be a full-time student. And then a variety of funding sources are available to help CGIS students cover program-related expenses, but eligibility will depend on your program and your unique financial situation. And to get an idea of how funding can affect you and how much you can expect, you can fill out a study abroad estimate worksheet and send it to fin8.abroad@umich, along with any other questions you may have about the program and how much you think you may receive. And then just a little bit more about that financial aid. We have the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship. So did you know that 90% of eligible LSA students receive between $1,000 and $10,000 on their study abroad experience, depending on obviously how much the program costs and how much financial need the student has. So you have to be taking, like I said, at least 12 credits. The applications for winter will open in October and close November 30th. And for more information, you can look at lsa.umich.edu/scholarships. And then you can also meet with an LSA scholarship advisor to assess your eligibility. So feel free to schedule an appointment with them, or you can also email them as well. And then at the bottom, we have linked additional scholarships. And then we have our CGIS website and advising page. So if you go on the CGIS website, you go to undergraduates and then you go to advising, we have this page right here. So you have the read me first, just some FAQs about applying to study abroad. You can talk to any of our peer advisors or e-advisors. Peer advisors actually can do walk-ins or virtual appointments as well to say, hey, I don't know what to do, help me out. CGIS advisors can do that as well, but peer advisors have been on these programs before. They've ran through this process. They can give you a little bit more insight that we can't. We have a tab for getting credits abroad. For certain programs, we have group advising and info sessions. So starting in, I think probably maybe the end of July, I will be doing info sessions every week for all three of these programs. So if you have an open application by that point, you will receive an email saying, hey, info session, this Tuesday from 2 to 3. And then, the provider will be there as well to help answer any questions. And then depending on the program, we have program specific FAQ guides. All three of the English programs in Spain have FAQs. And then we also have the first steps presentation as well that you can look over. And then things. Do you have any questions for me? Anything about, study abroad in general or anything about these three programs here today?